From the outside, it could have been any place. And yet,
What police say happened inside this house can only be described as horrific.
shotgun on the bedroom floor, a blood-soaked knife tangled with hair. Thomas and Jennifer Ayers brutally murdered in their own home.
There was blood everywhere. There was brain matter scattered across the upstairs.
It's obvious from the scene that there was a lot of rage, a lot of anger.
What was becoming even more obvious? Who was responsible?
Where was Ashley?
She was not there.
Jennifer's daughter and Thomas's stepdaughter, 17-year-old Ashley Martinson, was nowhere to be seen. On the run, it appeared, with the boy she'd been seeing, 22-year-old Ryan Sisko.
She became the #1 suspect because she couldn't be located anywhere.
What police do find are Ashley's 3 younger sisters still huddled inside the house. According to the girls, after one of them saw Ashley stabbing their mother, Ashley put them all in their room with food and juice and then tried to keep them there. It was a full day before the oldest sister finally called 911.
What are those 3 little children doing in the house with 2 dead people?
At one point, they got out and walked around the house, walked up to their parents, and then went back into the room and slept in that room until the next morning.
What do you make of their behavior?
I think they were afraid. They were afraid that Ashley was still in the house.
But as police soon learn, Ashley left shortly after the killings, hiding out with Ryan at her friend Jonathan Rasmussen's house just a mile or so down the road. John does remember seeing deep cuts on Ashley's hand and leg, but it wasn't until the next day that both he and his dad learned how she got them.
It's all over Facebook that Ashley killed her parents.
It was like somebody popped a balloon and I didn't know what was going on.
What he did know was where Ashley might be going, and before long, authorities did too.
Ashley and her friend Ryan Sisko took Thomas's truck, and they left town and started driving down towards Tennessee.
What was their plan?
They were going to stay with an aunt in Tennessee and more or less start a new life.
They made it as far as Indiana.
Driver, roll down the driver window.
With guns drawn,
Walk backwards. Keep walking. Keep walking.
police take their prime suspect and possible accomplice down without incident. But they don't necessarily find the faces of evil they were expecting.
Do you know what all this is in reference to?
You do.
Kind of have an idea?
I'm assuming for the murder.
You what?
I'm assuming for what you guys are calling the murder.
Yeah. Yeah, for the investigation of that.
I didn't mean to kill her.
I think at first when we got there, we thought that it was this teen girl that had this older boyfriend and she wanted to run off, and so she killed her parents.
But when you pull back all the layers,
There's a lot underneath it that none of us knew about until we dug further into it.
Have you met Ashley's mom before?
I haven't met her dad, stepdad, or her mom.
Well, they are both dead. The most surprising thing actually was that Ryan Sisko had absolutely no knowledge of the crime until they were in the state of Indiana.
And I was starting to think that Dave was psychotic.
So had Ryan been completely duped into becoming an accomplice to a double homicide? And what had Ashley's motives been in the first place?
We didn't have any other idea who Ashley Martinson was. So all we had was walking into her bedroom, looking at her walls, looking at what was on the internet.
Like the dark blog she wrote under the pen name Vampchick. Welcome to Nightmare, her homepage began. If you are ready, I will paint the streets red just for you.
it seems really chilling when you read this after the murders.
Yes. And that is what we looked at for the first few days trying to figure out what was going on. The national media came here, and all we had to give them was Vampchick and all the crazy writings that she had done and this really dark story that was all around her. That is who we thought she was.
But as investigators started digging deeper into Ashley's home life, black and white conclusions began to gray, especially when it came to her stepdad, Thomas.
What kind of a man was Thomas Ayers?
The only thing I can say to you is that he was a convicted felon for incidents involving domestic violence.
And other things.
And other things, yes.
Things like criminal mischief, kidnapping, even sexual assault. A list of offenses going back years.
So he wasn't supposed to have any firearms in the house.
Correct.
Did you find some?
They found several firearms at the house.
Even inches away from the kids' crayons, and Ashley's sisters had even more insight.
When he spanked you, was it hard or soft? Hard.
There had been abuse going on in the home, even abuse to the mother, abuse to animals at the hands of Thomas.
Like Dad throws him around.
They talk specifically about a dog. It was irritating Thomas, and he eventually killed the dog.
My dad told me that he shot him, and he fed him to a bear.
And then there was what he'd allegedly done to the children themselves.
He choked me. One time, he grabbed my neck, he choked me, and I started turning different colors.
A reason to run, to get help, but to kill? And if it was some sort of revenge killing, then what about the other victim? Almost unrecognizable through all the gore, Ashley's own mother.
There was an overwhelming amount of stab wounds, all over her body, hands, arms, legs. There were stab wounds all over her.
It was clear that the only way detectives would be able to get the answers they needed would be to ask Ashley herself. And what she had to say would make everyone second guess what they thought they knew.
I swear I didn't kill him.
Coming up.
It was the closest thing I had to a dad.
She said that her mom shot her stepdad because her stepdad went to berserk.